And here there's $150 TARS AI. You could have taken more than just a 4x. I won't even count that as one of the 3 tips I want to offer you today. I'm just telling you what happens when you follow this channel. Today we have a full program. It's the first advent, and I have 3 hidden gems for you from the very special area of AI agents. And what that is and why it's so exciting, I would definitely stick around for. We also have the first door of our BitMEX advent calendar. So at the latest there are big winnings. How you can win, what you can win. All of that is in the video now. On our channel, you will find exciting new projects, news about the current market situation, and the fact-based analysis from Scanf. If you are interested in these topics, feel free to leave a free subscription. And if you want to protect yourself as much as possible, we have prepared a free 8-point checklist for you. To find out how to get it, take a look in the description. This is well known. Let's take a quick look at the heat map. Yes, quite mixed. You can see one or another correction, especially among the large altcoins, particularly when you look at ADA, AVAX, etc. There is a bit of correction there. XRP is still pumping nicely. We made a video about it yesterday, which was very well received. So if you haven't watched it yet, feel free to click here. But Bitcoin, yes, is still fluctuating relatively high and low through the... So even when you look at the chart here, is an absolute sideways movement, and it must still be said that there is a very, very strong sell wall at the top. So why? Which is why not much is happening regarding the K. You can also clearly notice a shift regarding the altcoins, which is completely logical. But as I said, by the way, here is BitMEX. I personally use the exchange for trading. If you're interested and want to secure a 25 trading bonus, then check the description below. We'll get to the advent calendar at the very end. Red numbers aside. So if we look at the end of November, what we can definitely say is that we finished with a plus of 7.32%. So friends, there were only wild times in 2020. Everything that happened in the years in between is not comparable. And even now in December, we are already back in the plus by 0.6%. So now we can certainly take a look. Will we perhaps break the value of 2020? I can very well imagine it, although that would be really wild. So let's just wait and see what happens, but it remains exciting for sure. And a positive sign is the fear and greed index, which is holding strong at 81. So yes, it is a heated market, but I wouldn't say an overheated market, so we'll just have to wait and see. However, I'm not really afraid of a possible correction because, as I said, the value is, in my opinion, within range. Of course, everyone can assess that for themselves. If we now take a look at the liquidation heat map, well, then it gets relatively exciting again. So I specifically called up the 12-hour view. There is still a lot of wood down here, while there is nothing represented up there. If we now also go to the 24-hour view, a similar picture emerges. So up to the K, there isn't much here yet. Let's be surprised. One must not forget that everything related to institutional trading does not occur on weekends. So we can now comfortably lean back and see what happens next week. But here we definitely have a very, very strong indication, and that is this display. So the dominance of Bitcoin and also the relevance, the interest has clearly shifted further towards altcoins, and that has happened at record speed. So that's quite wild. If we go back here, we must also not forget, especially when we look at the last bull runs, that we were somewhere around D4 here. Well, here we have now reached a value again. Back then it was 98 or something like that. But as I said, we are currently at 69. So one must not forget at this point, there is still a bit of room for improvement. So anyone who is now shouting and saying, did I completely miss it? Well, of course, if you had bought during these time windows, I also placed a lot there, you would have already been able to take enormous profits. However, one must not forget at this point that you can basically break down the altcoin season into all the large caps and all the small caps. So, as I said, just because the big ones are already pumping, and yes, the small ones have also started to take off, one can certainly say that there is still potential available. That's why I'm making this video today, and that's why I'm also showing you a few hidden gems where you can not just take 2, 3, or 4 times, but ideally realize 20, 30, 50, or even more times. Because My personal goal is that I want at least everything below 10 times is very, very boring for me. And now one must not forget, if a token, for example, makes 20 times in total, you never take 20 times with you. Then you realistically take, let's say, half. Cash out in between. This means in turn that a token has to make much more times in relation to what you then realize. But my personal goal is definitely to take between 10 and 20 times, if not even more. And just a quick note here, we are not paid by the project. Right off the bat, we started a self-test in the previous videos. Maybe you saw it, because Bitfood was heavily criticized. Yes, it is an MLM system. It is dangerous in crypto, no question about it. But we then said, okay, we will invest these $250 and just try out this bot. Now it seems that this wallet we are copying because you are essentially copying the trader and not an analysis of the meme coin, if you will. So that means you can go to the blockchain. I can also gladly show separately how you can track a wallet that performs well. Of course, there is no guarantee for the future that it will perform the same way. In any case, we have looked at this project, copied it, and somehow the trader, I don't know, either fell asleep or is no longer doing anything with the wallet, which is why we will now look for a new one. If you want to pull some other information from there, then check the description. We have included the link there. As I said, this is not meant to be an advertisement at this point. Do your own research. That is also, yes, your own risk that you are entering. Just like we properly bought these tokens and also started with our capital in this bot. The results were definitely not that bad. It's just a way to build passive income. We just have to see what happens in the future. But as I said, feel free to click in there. We will also look into making a video in the coming days on how to build passive income in crypto at this point in time and what for example, I am using. So this has come up more often in the comments. Feel free to write in if you say, yes, I would really be interested. Then we will take that into account. And by the way, at this point, again, it's crazy. Just yesterday, there were around 60 new subscriptions here on the channel. Absolutely crazy. Endless likes, endless comments. So even if you like this video, please leave a quick like, also a short comment, around 10 words. The algorithm seems to like very much. And then the video will be pushed accordingly. Of course, only if you like it. And you are also welcome to express criticism if you say, yes, this or that I don't really like. So we are open to discussions. Let's just talk about it openly. I noticed that many of the people watching the videos are still not subscribed to the channel. So if you count yourself among them, it would be cool if you quickly hit the subscribe button and of course also subscribe to the bell, then you won't miss any important information. And what those important pieces of information are, I will show you now with examples of what hidden games we have shown in the past and what happened as a result, and what might happen with those I will show you now. And I would like to show you this comparison here. We have mentioned TARS AI several times and have also introduced it multiple times. So feel free to click here. But even those who had invested in the last top back then, where I invested for the first time, that must have been around here. I can't recall offhand when the video was released. You can take a look at it if you like. But even then, you would have already made more than a doubling. I bought more or less at the top back then the thing went further down. I was like, great, super. Of course, you bought it for the first time somewhere around 0.20. And then it kept going down steadily, but I kept buying more. And even the last times we talked about it, believe it was briefly in the double digits or so. And now, as you can see, you could have effortlessly taken more than a fourfold already in your investments. And the question is whether it stays that way or if it goes even higher, because this project has understood it. For example, on one hand with Solana, it's an exciting thing. I personally find Base and Solana very, very interesting for AI projects. The project is backed by the Solana Foundation. It is also basically the flagship project that is supposed to represent the AI infrastructure on Solana, so it will be done right. And there you can also see how this narrative around AI tokens is currently gaining momentum. One must not forget that at this point, it is not a meme coin. With meme coins, the value is often overestimated and the market price is significantly higher than the intrinsic value of this project. With TARS AI or generally with AI tokens in many projects, price has lagged a bit initially, but in the end, there is real volume in use cases, and you can really notice that now. By the way, If you still hold meme coins, I also have a few in my portfolio. I continue to hold them personally because I just say, yes, okay, it's not that bad for now. They will come back. So I personally believe that. But again, regarding TARS AI, I still find it cool. I still find it exciting. And even when you look at the market cap, don't see it as wild. Yes, it is still somewhat diluted. One must not forget that. So not all tokens are on the market yet, obviously. As I said, I don't even count that among the 3 tips I want to offer you today. I'm just telling you what happens if you definitely follow this channel, hinting with a fence post and so on. And now let me explain why I want to talk about AI agents today. There are definitely a few showcase projects, but here you see one, for example. It always depends on what profits you want to take. So if you compare it, for example, purely by market cap. Regarding render, there is still quite a bit possible in the billion range. Nevertheless, that is what I always say, it depends on how much risk you want to take. Of course, there is a foundation where we have already reached the billion range, but that doesn't mean it can't go further up. And there might be a doubling, tripling, or even quadrupling potential. However, that's not what catches my attention right now. If you look at this parabolic rise, it's wild. On the other hand, if you look at it now, there are smaller correction phases with a 2% decrease for the day and almost 200% increase within a week. Well, whether we can call it a correction is debatable, but that's the reason why I have now selected smaller, comparable projects that may only be here and can then go up from there. So let's see what I have in the pipeline. Let's move on to the first project, namely Spectral. A very important clarification here as well, we are not paid by any of the mentioned projects, so let that be clear. For example, I haven't invested in Spectral yet because I looked at the chart about a week ago and thought, oh no, let's wait and see for now. At that time it was somewhere around here, or I think even further down, around $9. Well, great, that's why you should buy it at 15. On the other hand, if you look at the daily value now, it can be quite exciting. So here too, I always go by the fact that you won't see these ultra cheap prices anymore. On the other hand, we are in a bull run, so you never know how much such a thing can suddenly push up. And we are talking about just 200 million market cap here. Yes, a small downside here is that there is already a significant gap regarding the distributed tokens. So this should not be overlooked here, but still, use case is quite convincing. So even if you look here, there are already a few larger exchanges, so it's not just Uniswap as a decentralized option, but we have Gate.io, we have Maxim involved. Okay, I'm not really a fan of that, but Gate.io is definitely something bigger. Crypto.com is involved, so there is already a lot of potential there. And if you look here, clearly you could call this a bottom, but let's take a closer look at it shortly. But also here, you had the peak, which has now gone down again. It might be the point at this very moment where everything could potentially start to rise again. So you just have to take a look. I also pulled up the chart specifically for this, and it's massive. When you look at what went down here, you think, wow, this thing is dead. Now it has moved a bit up and down here. Still, you have seen quite a good upward trend here. And now this correction has come in. Sure, there was pumping without end. I can't provide investment advice at this point, but it could be an interesting time to get in. And by the way, psychologically, even if it slips down further now, well, that's just how it is. So then wait it out. And in the best case, it will go back up again. I am definitely personally considering opening a position there because, as I said, if there is corresponding movement upwards, it could get exciting. Now let's briefly look at X. I want to touch on that first. It's always a good indicator. So you can also see here that there is a follower. It's not completely exaggerated, but the presentation, I think, is well done. Also, the intervals where posts are made, there is corresponding movement. So that's always a good signal because you must also be aware that no project sells itself just because it might be good. It's always about what the marketing behind it is. Now, let's really briefly talk about the use case. It's really exciting. So Spectral has the goal, if you want to put it that way, to revolutionize decentralized applications, these dApps, which are currently the focal point of the entire blockchain existence, with autonomous on-chain agents. There are now various core elements that this whole project includes, so I don't want to give away too much. However, it's really exciting because Spectral could definitely be a key player in the Web 3.0 space, where on one hand you have the complexity of blockchain development, which is significantly minimized, allowing a broader user base to access it. So we are back to a topic that primarily targets developers, but ultimately this can allow the entire crypto space to grow tremendously. So as I said, just to add, this AI blockchain topic is definitely bigger than what we initially expected. But feel free to read through it calmly on the website. You should find all further information there. And that is always my request to you. Do your own research. Just because I say I think a project is cool doesn't mean it will skyrocket for you. I'm personally invested in this, but I want to make it very clear that this is high risk because we are talking about a market cap of 12 million, which is almost completely diluted as a large part of the tokens are not yet on the market. So if you look at the gap, it's quite wild. Nevertheless, I find the use case very, very exciting. And even though there has already been a corresponding increase, I didn't buy at the low and I waited at first, but then I said to myself, I will place a position here. And if you look at this, in my opinion, the bottom is definitely in. And even when you see the movements here, it is quite obvious that this could indeed rise higher. And so I will also provide you with examples or what you have just seen with Spectral. It can happen quickly that you have a doubling or tripling, especially since the market cap is extremely low. And now another factor comes into play. We are talking about the base chain. And if you observe, Ethereum is relatively dead by now. There are still a few BNB projects, meaning those running on the Binance Smart Chain regarding AI, and then you mainly have Solana and Base Chain. Base Chain, we have already talked about why it has such incredible potential. 2001, feel free to click into that. But it all makes sense why this shift is happening. That's why I have also engaged more deeply, for example, with Base Chain. Just a few days ago, we released a video where we introduced hiddengems. Well, I would recommend you to take a look at them, and then you can also determine whether what we are saying here is indeed realistic. Definitely back to the agent layer. Even when you take a look at X here, I find it well structured. Quite interesting. There is also token burn here, which means a deflation that is built in. We always find AMAs cool, especially on larger exchanges. So it's definitely very interesting. Can be, but it doesn't have to be. No one can say. What does it look like here now? Well, the website actually explains everything in these few words. Autonomous AI Agent Network. Autonomous AI Agent Network. So that means, and I always find it pretty cool when you invest more in the infrastructure rather than, for example, in a single agent. Here you have the opportunity to access different agents for different areas. That's it. So at this point, you can also, for example, go into staking and so on. I would simply recommend you to browse through the website, take a look at the whole thing. Oh, we are not paid for this project either. If anyone shouts out, feel free to take a look and then you can get an overview. Let's move on to the last project, namely Octavia AI. This has nothing to do with the car in case anyone is wondering. By the way, it runs on the Binance Smart Chain. We're back in the area of market cappy. Yeah, it's wild. And normally I'm brutally cautious with such things because one might think, hey, this is ventricular fibrillation 66%. I personally learned about this project a few days ago and then thought, this one is really too hot for me. And then this happened, and you can see again that you could also translate this to agent layer. It can happen so quickly that you have a tripling. I personally am really considering investing here in 2021. Of course, it must be said that you never have a guarantee. So here too, it's about AI agents and so on. This could, of course, also be a scam in the end. Please be aware we haven't done a scam check here. Anyone can, of course, claim that we are making agents here and that you can revolutionize the world and everything is great. However, that is really a massive increase, and therefore I am also considering saying, yes, I will invest some venture capital there. So in this case, I would personally definitely only invest venture capital very, very clearly. But as I said, you can also click through the website. Okay, that doesn't really excite me personally right now. But if you simply take a look here, you can read through all the details and information. Of course, there is stalking here again. There is a launch pad, and all of this is designed for these digital agents. And you can see how quickly a push can come. And at least what can be said is that the project is listed on CoinMarketCap. That doesn't have to mean much at first, but it is something where you can say, yes, okay, it's not so bad. Partners are also listed here. Oh yes. For example, Solidus, IUSN. Well, I personally think very highly of Solidus. As long as everything is true, then that's pretty cool. So as I said, no guarantees on that. What I find a bit unfortunate is that there is no link here. I think that is always part of it. I don't want to make any accusations, but as I said, it could be interesting for some risk capital. And oh, let's list something. Since we're at it, we're adding an extra top on it. And I have also invested in it myself, and there you can see what is indeed possible here. Just what happened today again, and we are again involved with Solana. I find it exciting. If you look at the chart here, it already has substance. So the whole thing was completely dead at first, then it rose, then it went up and down, and now you can definitely see an uptrend. USAN with now 200 million market cap, that should definitely be a healthy representation of what is going on there. A unique selling point. Clearly we are talking about Solana, and we have all established that it should already be ahead. Even if we take a look at the website here, everything is explained so far. So you can, for example, unused GPUs, you can then provide the computing power as an example, etc. and so on and so forth. So here's the tip. Click through the website, gather all the information, and then you will definitely have all the explanations as well. But personally, I have also invested here myself. I say this quite openly. I will not hold it too much as what it is. But I can certainly imagine that this could be an exciting hidden game. And before we get to your opinion, start with the drawing. Because what can you win now? So I will now just draw from the mailbox. Please forgive me for doing it from the back. And I will pull out an envelope that looks a little like this. And now let's take a look together at what you can win. By the way, these are different prizes every day. Ow, it's really stuck. So, and here we have, well, look at that. A bit of chocolate. I think that's pretty cool. Namely 20, 10, 20, and even 100. So a total of 150. So at this point, as I said, if you want to win, we'll keep it simple. It will be sent by me. Write a comment below. It would be cool anyway if this video helps you. If you liked it, then feel free to leave a short comment about it. And yes, just share your opinion. Feel free to write to us if you have another hidden game that you say we absolutely have to check out. We would be happy to do that. So as I said, that would be really cool. And otherwise, if the exchange should continue, feel free to join our Telegram group. It's definitely a bit easier there. And yes, as I said, the winner will be drawn from the comments tomorrow. Then it will be very easy. $150 will go to you. So as I said, congratulations in advance to the one who will win tomorrow, and tomorrow the next contest will be announced. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, all the best. Bye.